Have you started piaffe with this horse?
No, but we need,
Just past, like, a few past steps, but nothing like, but I do feel like that's gonna help,
Yeah,
like, just
I
even
think,
maybe some transition, like,
yeah, I mean, like, the impression I'm getting today is he's trying to get off the hind leg a little bit. We need to get him
Yeah.
more on the hind leg, more uphill. So
he's
we
got
might,
a lot of energy right now. He's ready to get.
he's ready to go.
unfortunately, you know, they haven't been ridden much
That's it.
due to all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's because of cold.
Cold, yeah, mainly cold, yeah.
What's your
Cold
guys' cutoff
schedules.
point? I mean, do you have a
We
cutoff
don't
point?
really have a cutoff, but it keeps getting lower and lower, just so we
Yeah.
I'd say, 20-ish.
Okay. Okay, so like now, I'd piaffe a little bit. So how have you been approaching the piaffe? What do you do for the piaffe?
Just through the transition, just moving back
Okay.
here. In the corners, and then a little forward, and a little back.
Is he okay with somebody on the ground, do you know?
He's not used to it, so you'll have to approach
to
that
experiment.
carefully.
We'll have to kind of experiment, huh?
Yeah. It's not something, we haven't had somebody around him with a whip, so.
Okay. All right, so, come on the way out and
Boy.
Alright, so first thing I like to do is, I'm just gonna put it on his hindquarters and just kind of run it down, so he's not afraid of the whip. I don't want him to be afraid of the whip. Have you done much with piaffe?
No, just little half steps, like literally through the transition.
I mean, have you ever taught a horse piaffe?
No.
Okay. So, let's kind of talk through the process a little bit. So, have you ever heard my phrase, brush strokes on the canvas?
Say it again.
Brush strokes on the canvas, have you ever talked about that?
No.
So, one of the old riding masters, Willie Schulteis, he had a phrase, and he talked about brush strokes on the canvas. So, let's say you're an artist and you have this painting in front of you, a blank canvas, and you put like 2 strokes of paint on the canvas, and somebody says, "What are you painting?" And you say, "Well, it's going to be a log cabin and a mountain and trees and a pond in the front," and that doesn't look anything like it. Of course not. I only have 2 strokes of paint on the canvas, but the more paint that you put on the canvas, the more you visualize the log cabin and the lake in front and the mountains in the back and the trees. Until finally it's no disputing that's exactly what it is, right? So when we think about piaffe, I think of it as brush strokes on the canvas. And there's sometimes when in the beginning I'm working the piaffe and somebody might say from the outside, well, that doesn't look anything like piaffe. Why are you rewarding? Because I'm getting closer and closer to that piaffe, okay? So one of the first steps is that maybe we make little tiny steps of walk, and if he just kind of bends his hind legs a little bit more and steps under, then that's good enough, okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to use it in step-by-step process. Now, some horses kick into a good piaffe, but not many, right? So we're going to think about this whole process as brush strokes on the canvas. The other thing that I want you to understand is that we kind of have to map out when I touch with the whip, how does he react? And not every horse reacts the same. So there's sometimes when I touch on top of the butt and the horse sinks. There's sometimes I touch on top of the butt and a different horse almost gets bouncy behind, and on that horse that gets bouncy, if I touch on the back of the hock, the horse sinks, right? So each horse reacts a little bit different to the whip. So you kind of have to figure out
What's gonna
how
do
does
what?
he, yeah, so that you can kind of figure out, okay, when I tap here, he does this, and then we can kind of help him.
Yeah.
You see some people that really come at the horses with the whip strong, that's no way to make piaffe, right? At the end of the day, the guy who can piaffe in the ring without a whip is the winner. If you ever want to do CDIs, the horse has got to be able to piaffe without a whip.
Right.
So our goal is to be able to do that eventually, right? So
Sure.
my role here on the ground is to clear fire to help. It's not to beat him into doing a piaffe. Yeah. So there's going to be time.